Admiral Beatty watched from HMS Lion.
There seems to be something wrong with our bloody ships today.
About 7 o'clock, we passed the wreck of a large ship, which at that time we hoped was a German, but later learned was one of ours. She was broken right in two. The bow and stern were sticking up about 50 feet and quite independent.
But the British had the Germans outgunned and outnumbered. As evening fell, the German fleet broke off the action.
We were in a regular death trap. There was only one way to escape the unfavorable tactical situation. Turn the line about and withdraw on the opposite course. We had to get out of this dangerous enemy envelopment.
To silent Jack Jellicoe, peering through the fog of battle, it didn't look as though the Germans were running for home, but lulling the British into a trap.
If the enemy battle fleet were to turn away from an advancing fleet, I should assume that the intention was to lead us over mines and submarines.
So Jellicoe ordered the British to turn as well, away from their vulnerable foe. As night fell on the 31st of May 1916, the men in Room 40 tracked the retreating German fleet. They passed its positions on to the Royal Navy, giving Jellicoe a last chance to finish the Germans off. But the Royal Navy failed to catch them, and the German fleet made it home.
During the night, telegrams arrived giving the estimated losses of the English, which are 2 to 3 in our favor. The Kaiser was therefore able to announce at breakfast, "We have won a great victory in the North Sea."
Based on the maths alone, the Kaiser was right. Germany had lost 11 ships and 2,500 men. Britain 14 ships and 6,000 men. But that wasn't the point. The Kaiser's battleships were back in harbour and stayed there till the end of the war. The British fleet still ruled the North Sea, ever more tightening the blockade. From the start, Germany had replied to the British blockade with her own economic war. She too tried to cripple the enemy by cutting off supplies. This light raider, the Merva, was one of the few surface ships Germany ever sent into the North Sea. Her target, not warships but cargo boats. She sunk 20,000 tons, building a large collection of captured crews.
According to the English, we are in league with the devil and have acquired the Flying Dutchman. The captain of the Merva said recently, "You can imagine what a great moment it was when I had 8 English captains standing in front of me, and I could tell them all, this is the work of the German fleet."
Germany's U-boats joined in the war against Allied trade. One British admiral was horrified.
Submarines are underhand, unfair, and damned un-English. As for U-boats attacking civilian ships, it is impossible and unthinkable. If they do, their captured crews should be hanged as pirates.
The U-boat blockade of Britain would have to be ruthless. But Germany's Chancellor, Bethmann Hollweg, realized the effect this would have on world opinion, as he told Georg von Müller.
Spent the afternoon with the Chancellor, who wished once more to discuss the U-boat question. Bethmann envisaged the remaining neutrals united against us as the mad dog among the peoples of the world. That would mean the end of Germany.
Germany's admirals were furious at having their hands tied. But submarines were ordered to stick to the old rules of war. They gave warnings of their attacks. They did not attack underwater. They gave merchant crews time to escape. German submarines sunk 250,000 tons in 1914. But Britain built new ships faster than the U-boats could sink them. Far from being choked by the German blockade, the British economy flourished. The British firm Vickers, with a workforce of 78,000, turned out guns, aeroplanes, battleships, and record profits. If Germany was trying to play fair, Britain wasn't. Q-ships looked like unarmed traders, but carried hidden guns. They looked like easy prey, but when submarines came close, the Q-ships uncovered their guns and attacked. To add to the deception, they often sailed under foreign flags. Lieutenant Heinrich Crompton, on the U-41, was caught by just such a trick.
As the two ships came within 300 meters of each other, the steamer opened a heavy, accurate rifle fire from all along the railing, immediately joined by large caliber guns hidden fore and aft. The U-41 immediately returned 3 rounds from the forward gun, all hits to the hull. Throughout the action, the steamer continued to fly the American flag.
On the 1st of February 1915, in response to the British blockade, the Kaiser stepped up his campaign. He declared that all the waters around Britain were a war zone, in which any ships, including neutrals, might be sunk. This decision set Germany on a collision course with America. The pride of the Cunard Line, the Lusitania, was the largest, most luxurious liner in the world. She could carry over 2,000 passengers. There was a ragtime dance written in her honor. On the 1st of May 1915, Cunard posted a list of her departures in the New York Times. Next to it was an advertisement placed by the German ambassador. Those sailing to Britain, it said, did so at their own risk. At 11:30 that morning, the Lusitania left New York for Liverpool. Her captain made light of the submarine threat.
It's the best joke I've heard in many days. This talk of torpedoing the Lusitania.
This is the last picture of her ever taken. The Lusitania sighted the Irish coast on the 7th of May. The lighthouse on the old Head of Kinsale was traditionally used by ships on the Atlantic Run to get their bearings. At 2:10, the Lusitania was hit by a single torpedo.
As I watched, one funnel went, then the other, until the ship had gone and the sea was calm. And all you could see was bodies and wreckage of furniture, and everything that had been in the ship, floating in the water.
My husband and I got into a lifeboat, the ropes of which jammed and had to be cut. Since when I have not seen or heard of my husband.
I've lost all I ever possessed, and my dead boys, ages 11 years and 8.
I was rescued by a trawler. My dear husband was lost, but I had the great satisfaction of finding him on Saturday and seeing him laid to rest in the cemetery in Queenstown.
Police reports were sent to relatives to identify the bodies. 1,200 people died on the Lusitania. including 128 Americans. At the battlefronts in Europe, tens of thousands were dying every day, but the fate of the great Cunard liner overshadowed them. It led to the most widespread anti-German riots of the war. In Liverpool, a newly arrived American joined the mob outside a German-owned shop.
The crowd was muttering and growling and the shop was dark, but there were people upstairs, so I just picked up a brick and heaved it through the window. Then everyone took to shying them, and in a few minutes the place was a wreck. There were several policemen at the corner, and they just grinned.
With the sinking of the Lusitania, Germany had crossed a line.
The whole world hates us because we are conducting the war in such a brutal manner, and the brutality is increasing. I was at a party when the report of the torpedoing of the Lusitania arrived. I saw two officers' wives who, mad with joy, started to dance about the room. Don't forget, I said, that there were also women and children aboard. That doesn't matter, they said, and danced on. The more who go to the bottom, the better.
The Lusitania came to stand for German barbarity. Britain stirred the indignation with its own propaganda. Posters and even posed photographs rammed home what had happened. The German embassy in Washington received bomb threats. President Woodrow Wilson himself began to see Germany as the mad dog of the world.
In God's name, how could any nation calling itself civilized do so horrible a thing?
It seemed America might clamber down off the fence. But outrage soon gave way to caution. Wilson reassured the nation that America would not go to war.
There is such a thing as a man being too proud to fight. There is such a thing as a nation being so right that it does not need to convince others by force that it is right.
And anyway, war would be very bad for business.